Good evening, folks. We are terribly sorry. We are a little bit late, but we had a major computer issue here at Short Shift Broadcasting. We made it in. It looks like we are 17 laps into this race. We are at North Wilkesboro for round 9 of the Blown Pistons Truck Racing League on Friday nights. My name is Mark. Once again, our apologies for the technical hiccup, but here we are, and we're going to hope to see that we can make this a good racing night here. So I am as jumping in as you are right now, so let me get caught up here a little bit. We are looking at Andrew Mraz leading the pack here. Let me see if I can get some of that sound fixed here. We have 20 cars that started this race. You may see Trading Paints restoring some paint jobs here and there. We had a computer issue. We had to restart everything, and we were a little bit late into this race. Once again, our apologies. It's Andrew Mraz in the lead here in front of Marshall Stanley, and Mike Perry is in the third position. Adam Pettit is in fourth. Jason Branch is in fifth. Then it's Randy Perdue and Tommy Ryan, Matt Miller, Jeff Ryan, and Jordan Berry rounds out your top 10. We are here at North Wilkesboro, currently under yellow. Let's see if we can quickly find out what happened. Ooh, it looks like the Nicoletta car here, the 59. Let's bring it back for you really quickly. They are coming onto the backstretch there. It's Nicoletta in the police livery in front. He gets a little tap on the quarter panel from Indiana Wise, and unfortunately collecting some of the other cars. All right, so that'll give us a time to catch our breath here. We're 23 laps into this race, and it looks like pretty much everybody has brought it into the pits. There you have him. We are at North Wilkesboro here for 125 laps tonight. We are going to do a first stage ending at lap 35, second stage ending at lap 70. This series does not go yellow for the stages when they finish, but they do pay some extra points. The guys are all on fixed setups here, meaning they cannot alter the car except for play with the brake bias a little bit. They have unlimited tires for the race, and there is a fuel capacity limit of 50%, and that should give them a fuel window of right around 70 laps, with only 24 here down. They must have pitted, they must have fueled up, and so that means that fuel is very unlikely to be a problem around here. We have Andrew Mraz in the lead, and we have a car in front of him. That is Roger Matthias, and he is a lap down. He'll be waved around the pace car before we get going. So what else can we tell you? After last week, the standings, let me bring them up for you really quickly. It's Mike Perry still in the lead in the championship standings, with Andrew Moore in second, Jason Branch, Pondo Co. You can see the list here of the first 15 drivers in the championship, and we're getting close to getting to the playoffs. Oops, wrong button. Sorry about that. We're getting close to the playoffs. After the first 10 races, we will be going into the playoffs for this season, and that will be, I believe, after next week's race in Pocono. It looks like some more drivers are going into the pits. That's Tommy Ryan there, and Jeff Ryan also in the pits. Those are both new drivers here in the series. They joined up today. We're welcoming them here. I hope they're going to have a lot of fun with this series. We sure do. So it looks like the pace truck lights are out here on North Wilkesboro, and we're getting ready to race on lap 27 when we get by the green. The pit speed limit, I was going to tell you that, it is 35 miles an hour. We're running about 120 miles an hour on the straights. Ooh, and Andrew Mraz has a great jump on the field there. Picking up the lead once again in front of the 44 of Marshall Stanley. Mike Perry, our championship leader, is right there in third position. Then it's Adam Patet in the green and black car, the number 57. Then it's Jason Branch in the 22, the Navy livery. Then it's Randy Perdue in the 29. Ooh, and Randy Perdue, as we look at him, he taps the Navy car on the left rear panel and turns him around. That's Jason Branch that got turned around, and it looks like both the cars that came out of the pits were collected there. Let's bring that back for you. It's the 29 attempting to go to the inside. There is no room there, and it looks like It looks like the number 3 turns around in his attempt to avoid the mayhem there. I couldn't really tell who that was standing still. That is Roger Matthias in the number 5 car that got stuck there. So we are once again on yellow on lap 30. So let's bring up quickly the race information that we couldn't show you before the race here. North Wilkesboro Speedway is a half-mile speedway that iRacing has brought back to life. This track is no longer in use. The temperature is 80 degrees, 40 degrees humidity, 43% humidity. It's a partly cloudy sky, and we have a 10-mile-an-hour wind that may hurt them a little bit. The track temperature is 90 degrees, and that is reasonably high. It's not too bad, but it's reasonably high, and that may cause them to have some tire wear issues. When I was watching during practice before my computer started giving me problems, I did see a lot of drivers having a lot of trouble with oversteer, coming off the turns, being very careful getting on the gas because it was very easy, it looked like, for them to turn that car around coming off the turn. So 30 laps into this race, I once again apologize for being a little late and not being able to show you qualifying, but we're here and we're going to try to make the best of it. Everything seems to be working right now, so meanwhile we'll get some other stuff back behind the curtains set up here. And we're getting ready to go racing, it looks like. They're lining them up side by side. As far as I can tell, the truck, the lights are still on. We'll have another passing by of the flag stand there before we get back to racing. One notable thing here on the North Wilkesboro racetrack, once again, it's a track that iRacing has brought back to life. It was a big track in the 80s for the NASCAR Cup Series. One of the notable things here is that the track is not laid out on flat land. It's actually, you're going a little bit uphill on the backstretch, and you're going a little bit downhill on the main straightaway. And the story goes that this was due to the fact that the owner of the track back in the day was running out of time and money to get started with the NASCAR schedule, and so they just kind of skipped that step of leveling the land. It's not a huge incline or decline on the track, but it's definitely noticeable when you're driving it. Andrew Mraz once again has a great start here, coming off the green light here, followed by Stanley, Perry, and it looks like Adam Pettit is on the outside there, closing in on Mike Perry. He passed Randy Perdue, it looked like. Andrew Moore is in 6th. It's Jordan Berry in 7th. Oh, and there we have Randy Perdue going around. And that is exactly what I was talking about. Getting on the gas a little bit too hard. I don't believe he was touched by anybody. He did this by himself. Let's bring that back for you once again. Yeah, it looks like he is just getting on the gas a little bit too enthusiastically and turns that car around. Unfortunately for Randy, he drops back to 15th position currently. Still running though. That car is not entirely clean anymore, but it looks like he can continue. And let me see here. He is going back to the spot that he had, it looked like. He's climbing back up past a bunch of cars there. Yeah, he's bringing it back right behind the 57 of Adam Pettit, and it looks like they give him back his spot there. Not really sure how that would work, but I'm sure the race director is doing the right thing there. And once again, we saw Miraz jump in that start, really getting a good jump on the field. It looks like he's well in control here, and even his car is not entirely clean anymore. You can see a little bit of damage on that right rear of the 028 there. It's Marshall Stanley in the second position, and Mike Perry in third, and Adam Pettit in fourth. Randy Perdue has now gone into the pits, and he's going to maybe use his fast repair and get that car fixed up for the rest of the race. And let's go a little bit further in the field there. We see the number 7 of Jordan Berry right behind Andrew Moore in that bright orange number 77. We have Matt Miller there in the 78, the blue and white truck. And we have Casey Duncan in the Target livery. Pondo Co. in the number 9 here, the black machine. Indiana Wise in the number 31, the green car with the NVIDIA livery. It looks like then Sean Dias in the 87 in the blue car. It's Tommy Ryan, one of the new drivers here in the yellow and black livery. Ryan Nicoletta in the 59 with the police livery. Then it's Jeff Ryan, the other new driver here. I'm not sure if they're related, but I would think so. He's driving the iRacing livery with the number 3 here. Then it's Randy Bledsoe in the 81. Roger Matthias in the 5. Randy Perdue is now in 17th. And Jason Branch has dropped back to 18th because of that earlier incident. Ron Schutte in the 28 car. David Dolliver is rounding out your 20 finishers. And we're looking like we're back to racing here. Bring her back up front once again. Miraz is getting a good lead here on Marshall Stanley. Mike Perry in third position. Adam Pettit, it looks like they're a little bit more stretched out now. Andrew Moore in the 77 car, the orange car. He is in fifth position. Running behind him is Jordan Perry. So Jordan picked up a position here. Matt Miller and Casey Duncan in the Target car. And it looks like Miraz is clearing out by about 7/10 of a second. It's Marshall and Perry fighting for that second position here on North Wilkesboro half-mile oval. Adam Pettit is having to worry about Moore and Berry. They're right behind him. It looks like Jordan Berry is closing in on that 77 car. The 78 of Matt Miller is right behind there. A good string of cars here fighting for position all close together. And meanwhile, it's still Marshall Stanley in the second spot, looking now at over a second of deficit on Andrew Miraz. It looks like Miraz has got a very good car here, good grip. And Stanley and Perry are fighting for that second position with Adam Pettit in the fourth and Andrew Moore in fifth. Let's take a look here quickly at Andrew Miraz, and from the back of his car, that's what it looks like here on North Wilkesboro. You're looking at Marshall Stanley in that blue car. He's in second, and right behind him in the dark car with the white sides, that's Mike Perry in the number 2. There you have him, your leader, Andrew Miraz, and then second place and third place right together here. It's Marshall Stanley and Mike Perry. Looks like Adam Pettit is having a little bit more trouble keeping up with those guys. Andrew Moore is now right behind Pettit in the 57 car, and Jordan Berry in the 7 car is right there along with Matt Miller as well. A group of 4 cars here. Then it's Casey Duncan. He's kind of by himself in the 17 Target car. Pondo Co. is 9th, and Tommy Ryan is bringing it inside of the 87 for 10th position. The 87, that is Sean Dias. Then it's Indiana Wise in the 11th position. And let's check back up front with Marshall Stanley and Mike Perry fighting for second position. And the group behind him is being led by Adam Pettit and Andrew Moore. Jordan Berry and Matt Miller seem to be dropping back just a little bit here. Jordan Berry running a little wide, Matt Miller trying to get to his inside. And then a little bit further back, it looks like Casey Duncan seems to be catching up with these guys. Pondo Co is about a second further back. Marshall Stanley and Mike Perry still duking it out for the second position. Oops. That's what happens when you hit the wrong button. Andrew Mraz still in the lead. And he's got a good lead now, about 1.3 seconds on Marshall Stanley in that 44 car. It looks like Marshall Stanley is putting a couple of car lengths between him and Mike Perry in third. And then it's still Adam Pettit and Andrew Moore close together here. That's the battle for fourth and fifth position. It looks like Jordan Berry is coming under pressure from Matt Miller now. The 78 coming to his inside. Onto the main straightaway. That 78 has already had a little bit of a damage on the front end. Jordan Berry is hanging on to that sixth position. He runs pretty good on that higher side, it looks like. And Casey Duncan is right behind them there in the 17 in the target livery. Let's bring her back up here to number 44. That's Marshall Stanley in second position. Looks like he is gaining now a little bit on Andrew Mraz. It was 1.3 seconds. It is now 1.1. And it looks like the 44 is working himself away from Mike Perry and towards Andrew Mraz. And we can bring him up a little bit closer and see how he's doing here on the car handling. He's looking pretty solid there. Let's ride along with him here for a moment. Ooh, a little bit of oversteer coming off the turn. He catches that beautifully. And you can see under braking, he's having to correct a little bit as well. Back on the throttle, just a slight little bit of oversteer. That's what it looks like from the outside, and it's Mike Perry still following. He's looks like he's about 0.8 of a second behind Stanley. And Stanley has got that margin with Andrew Mraz down to about 1.1 second now. A little bit of a slide coming off the turn. And let's see who else we've got battling for position. It looks like the field is getting stretched out quite a bit now. Andrew Moore and Adam Pettit in fourth and fifth, still working at it together. Jordan Berry, Matt Miller, and Casey Duncan. And Jordan Berry is still hanging on to that sixth position. And it looks like Matt Miller is coming to the inside now. And then coming off the high side of the turn, Jordan Berry has a good run on that straightaway. Not good enough this time. It looks like the 78 is coming inside, blocking him now to pull that same stunt again. So Jordan Berry drops back to seventh position. And it looks like the 17 of Casey Duncan is also coming alongside and taking that seventh position away from him. But Jordan Berry is not giving up. He is still racing hard on that high side, trying to stay with him. And it looks like Roger Matthias has worked his way up all the way to ninth position already in that 5 car, and he's gonna looking to get a piece of this as well. Let's check on your leader. That's Andrew Mraz. He's still about a second in front of Marshall Stanley. So Stanley is gaining a little bit, but it's not going very quickly. His last lap time was a 19.6, and Andrew Mraz's last lap time was a 19.8. So it looks like Stanley is a little bit quicker, currently, but he still has about 8/10 of a second to make up. Mike Perry is in third. He's a little bit over a second behind Stanley now. Adam Pettit seems to be gaining on him a little bit. And Andrew Moore is hanging with Pettit pretty good. Casey Duncan now also passed Matt Miller. So Casey Duncan is now in the 6th position. Matt Miller is 7th. Matthias has gone by Jordan Berry. And Tommy Ryan is trying to do the same thing. So Jordan Berry, he seems like he's comfortable on that high side. But right now it doesn't look like it's quick enough. His tires may be wearing out a little bit already. We've had a good green stint here. So it looks like Jordan Berry is a little bit in trouble, dropping back to that 10th position. And it looks like Matt Miller and Matthias are now duking it out here for the 7th spot. Casey Duncan leading this group here with Matthias in the 5 car in 7th, Matt Miller in 8th, Tommy Ryan hanging with these guys in 9th. And it looks like Jordan Berry is dropping back just a little bit. And he is now in front of Pondo Co. in the number 9 car. Randy Perdue has worked his way back up to 12th position already. And then in 13, it's the number 3 of Jeff Ryan, one of the new drivers here tonight. And let's bring her back to the front here, because Andrew Mraz has lost quite a bit of that advantage, and Marshall Stanley seems to be gaining on him. And their lap times are not all that much different right now, so it looks like the difference, if there was any, is evening out a little bit. But Marshall Stanley is definitely seeking to put some pressure on the leader of this race. We are already in lap 69, so the next time by will be the last lap of the 2nd stage. Mraz is still in front. Stanley is getting closer to him now. He's about 1/10 of a second per lap quicker. So here we have it, the final lap of the 2nd stage. Let's see if Mraz can hang on to that lead and pick up some extra points there. Coming down the backstretch, turn 3 and 4. And it looks like he still has that 44 car right there behind him. He's going to take that 2nd stage win and pick up a few extra points in the standings with that. Mike Perry is in 3rd. And it looks like Adam Pettit is in 4th, coming away from Andrew Moore a little bit. Andrew is in 5th. And then it's Casey Duncan. And Casey is now in front of Roger Matthias. Ooh, Casey almost loses it there. And that's going to cost him quite a bit of time. It looks like Matthias is coming right at him there. And right behind Matthias, we see Tommy Ryan, one of the new drivers. And he is fighting hard here to get on the inside of Matthias. And he picks up 7th position. I'm starting to feel that tires are becoming a bit of an issue for all of them. Ooh, and it looks like Adam Pettit has gone by Mike Perry. Let's see if we can bring that back for you, if it's not too far back. Yeah, there we have, that is Mike Perry in the number 2 car. Oh, and there you have the problem. He gets off the turn, gets loose, has to correct it, and Adam Pettit picks up that position. So Adam Pettit is now in 3rd, and it looks like Mike Perry is coming under pressure from Andrew Moore as well. And behind Moore, you see Casey Duncan in the target car. Then it's Tommy Ryan, Roger Matthias, Matt Miller in 9th now, and Jordan Berry is in 10th. Let's bring her back up to the front, where back markers are starting to become a factor. Andrew Mraz is now under pressure from Marshall Stanley in the blue 44 car. That is your battle for the lead. We're talking lap 76 already. It's Marshall Stanley on the tail of Andrew Mraz for the lead. They're both looking pretty strong. Let's ride along with Stanley here once again. A little bit of a correction. Oh, a little bit of oversteer for the 028 in front of him. And that curb on the inside you want to stay away from. And it looks like he's getting to the inside now. A little bit of a wiggle coming off the turn for both these guys. Ooh, really close. And Marshall Stanley is holding on to that inside line. And it looks like Mraz comes off the turn a little bit better. He's also a little bit loose going in. The 028 is. And Marshall Stanley is hanging with him really, really well. Looking for another opportunity. Mraz was on the defensive there. And you can see that car of Andrew Mraz is slip-sliding around a little bit on the exit of the turn. They are giving it their all, and their tires are starting to go away. For the lead here, once again, Marshall Stanley in the blue car in the 44, right behind the 028, the white and orange car of Andrew Mraz. And behind him, it's the 28 of Ron Schutte, and Ron Schutte is giving way to Adam Pettit in third position, and it looks like Pettit has brought that car towards the leaders as well, so he's looking to get a part of that deal as well. And then a little bit further back, it is Andrew Moore and Tommy Ryan fighting for the fourth and fifth spot, and it looks like Tommy Ryan is running pretty strong there on that inside. Ooh, and we had an issue, and let's see if we can figure out what happened. The 87 and Indiana Wise are getting together here. Let's bring it back a little bit further. Coming off turn 4. It looks like the 87 is just a little bit slower, and the 31 cannot slow down enough. He taps him on that left rear panel and turns him around. That means we have a yellow, and I guess so. Guess what? Everybody is coming in the pits. They can definitely use that new rubber here. That was pretty obvious. Andrew Mraz was slip-sliding around, and so was Marshall Stanley. They got the first 2 pit stalls, so Mraz was your pole sitter, and Stanley was your second-place starter there. We missed that, unfortunately. Once again, we apologize for the late start. We had a computer issue. We got it fixed, and we're seeing a great race here. And luckily, we don't have to miss too much of it. So it's Mraz bringing it out first. Then it's Stanley bringing it out in second. Pettit holds on to third. It's Ron Schutte in the 28 car, and he is now in the fourth position. He did not pit on this round, and he's doing that now. He was already a lap behind, so he had to wait for the second time around. So that means that Andrew Moore is hanging on to that fourth position. It's Roger Matthias in the fifth position in the 5 car. Then it's Tommy Ryan. It's Casey Duncan in seventh. Mike Perry has dropped back to the 8th position now. Matt Miller is in 9th, and Jeff Ryan is in 10th. No, it's Pondo. Excuse me, it's Pondoco in 10th, and Jeff Ryan is in 11th. Jordan Berry has dropped back to, it looked like 11th or 12th position. So he was having a little trouble keeping it on the road there. There you see Tommy Ryan going into the pits in the number 6 car. And we have Jason Branch here in the pits. He is shown in 14th, now 15th. David Dolliver in the 23 heading out again. Let's see how these guys are looking. And there you have Tommy going back out, and so is Jason Branch in that Navy liveried car. So up at the front, Andrew Mraz and Marshall Stanley. And well, it'd be interesting to see if Mraz can pull another quick start like that. It looks like Mraz did not get that car fixed as far as the sheet metal damage is concerned. So maybe he's already used that fast repair. Maybe he just wants to save it for later. It looks like we're getting ready to go again. Yes, base truck is in. And Mraz once again pulls a couple of car lengths on the start here right away, but not as much as the last time. The 44 of Stanley hangs with him there. It's Adam Pettit in the 3rd spot with Andrew Moore now high beside him there. Looks like the 77 is running a little wide. And we have an issue somewhere in the back of the pack. That's the number 22 of Jason Branch. And let's see if he was getting a little help there. No, he's just really loose under braking. May have touched the brakes there with the brake bias a little bit too far to the rear. Very unfortunate for him. He does not get any help and turns it around. Luckily doesn't hit anything, and he catches the back end of the pack there once again. Lap 89 now. Andrew Mraz still in front, and he gets to try that stunt on the start once again. Stanley was hanging with him there fairly good, and it looked like Adam Pettit was pretty strong, and Andrew Moore was running strong there as well. On the high side, we saw him trying to challenge, and that car that you see passing by there is getting a wave around. Let's see if we can find out who that is. That is Randy Bledsoe getting the wave around. And it looks like the lights on the pace truck are still on. Jason Branch is coming in. He might as well get some new tires after burning some of that rubber up in that spin. Is he getting new tires or just going for fuel? No, he's getting some tires there. And also in the pits there, that's Randy Perdue in the number 29, also getting some tires as well. There we go. Jason Branch is done. Randy Perdue is taking a little bit longer, and he comes back out. And he does get to go in front of the leader, and no, he gets to stay behind the pace car. That means he'll get waved around. No, he's going to have to go to the back of the to the back of the line there, it looks like. Ooh, that's unfortunate. That's going to cost him. So it's still Andrew Mraz in the lead. Marshall Stanley, Adam Pettit is in third. It's Andrew Moore in fourth. It is Roger Matthias in fifth. It looks like Matthias is running fairly strong. Mike Perry worked his way back up to sixth in that short little stint that we had there. It's Casey Duncan now in seventh. It's Matt Miller in eighth. Pondo Co is in ninth, and Jordan Berry is in 10th. And everybody is on fresher tires now, so we'll have to wait and see if Jordan can make up for that lost time there. And I'm not sure if the lights are off on the pace truck and if we're going single file here. Yeah, we're going single file. Mraz is getting a little bit of a jump once again, pulling away from Stanley. Stanley pulling away from Pettit. And Pettit has Andrew Moore, Roger Matthias, and Mike Perry right behind him there in that group of four. And it looks like the Navy car of Jason Branch is running around fairly slow, trying to catch up to the back of the pack. Didn't work, so he's being lapped already. And he's going to the inside there to let Adam Pettit and that group by. That's good sportsmanship. He's not interfering. He's going back into the pits. He may have scuffed the wall or something. We're not really sure about that. Adam Pettit is now under pressure from Roger Matthias. Ooh, it looked like Roger Matthias washed up really high there. Andrew Moore has dropped back that one position that he had to give away to Matthias, it looks like. Mike Perry hanging in there in sixth. Casey Duncan in seventh. Matt Miller in eighth. And Pondo Co is in ninth. Jeff Ryan has passed Jordan Berry, has actually dropped back quite a bit, and that's the reason why we were looking for him. We couldn't find him. And it looks like Jordan Berry gets a little bit of help from the number 3 of Jeff Ryan there, turning it around. Ooh, and then he tries to get out of the way, and another driver is misunderstanding that, going to the inside and touches him. It looks like Jordan Berry is all right. Mraz is still in front. Let's see if we had anybody going into the pits there. I believe Jason Branch is the final car that went into the pits. And Jason is now shown in 19th position. We have Randy Bledsoe coming into the pits once again in the 81 car. And he's getting tires. Shouldn't need too much fuel anymore. And the field is coming into turn 3 and 4, so he needs to hurry up and get out of there. There he goes, and that means he can catch up to the back end of the pack without going down another lap. Marshall Stanley in the 44 car in 2nd position. It's Adam Pettit in the green car here, the green and black car, the 57 in 3rd. Then we see Roger Matthias in the 5 car. He is in 4th. Then it's Andrew Moore, the 5th position in the 77 car. It's Mike Perry in 6th. Casey Duncan in 7th. Matt Miller in 8th. Pondo Co in 9th. And Jeff Ryan is now in 10th position. And it looks like Randy Perdue is once again in the pits. And it looks like he is waiting for the pit lane to open back up. And he does go an extra lap down here. Tommy Ryan has been in the pits as well. He's coming out now as well. And they're already starting to line them up. Double file. I'm fairly sure the lights will be going out. Yes, indeed. Or not. I can't tell. Those lights on that truck are not very big. Nope, they're out. So Mraz on the low side there in the 1st position with Stanley right alongside him. And an eager field right behind him. Adam Pettit on the inside. It's Matthias on the outside. Then it's Mike Perry on the high side with Andrew Moore on his inside in the orange car. And once again, Andrew Mraz picks up speed right quickly as soon as the truck is in. And it's Stanley following him. It looks like Matthias strong on that outside, challenging Pettit there. It looks like Matthias picks up 3rd position on the high side. Pettit now back on the inside, trying to fight back. They're still side by side. It looks like Matthias gets off the turn a lot better, and he even brings it alongside of Stanley, picking up 2nd position now around the outside. Wow, those are two good passes on the high side for Roger Matthias in the number 5 car. And it looks like Stanley and Pettit have to settle for 3rd and 4th. And Matthias now going to challenge the leader. He's got a couple of car lengths to make up there, but he's looking really strong on this restart here. Lap 104. Let's see if he can bring it up to the rear end of Andrew Mraz's car. He looks like he's comfortable on that middle line coming off the turn a little high. You have to be careful not to scrape the wall. It looks like Stanley is trying to come back, but Matthias is having nothing of it, and he stays ahead in that 2nd position. Looks like Matthias is feeling comfortable on that high side. He dropped out on us here a little bit. That's a bit of a connection issue. Hope it's not going to bother him too much. It's Stanley back on that inside, fighting for the 2nd position. We have a back marker there. That looks like the 28 of Ron Schutte. Ron staying high now to let the leading cars go by. It's Adam Pettit now on his inside. He's still in 4th. And it looks like Matthias cannot keep up with the pace of Andrew Mraz. He is dropping back a little bit. It's about a 2nd already. And we're going yellow once again. Let's see what we can find out. It's the car of Casey Duncan that is in trouble here. Let's see if we can find out what happened. on the backstretch coming into turn 3 and 4. And it looks like once again it's the number 3 that gives him a little bit of a tap on the inside panel there and turns him around. And I hate to tell you this, but we've seen the number 3 do this a couple of times already. It looks like Randy can keep going. And let's check back real quick and see if there was not another incident as well. Because I see that is Ron Schutte in the 28 that was also turned around. Let's see what happens to him. That is a separate incident. And it looks like Schutte gets a little tap from, who was that? Was that Bledsoe? I do believe so. So he gets a little help getting turned around as well. And it looks like Marshall Stanley has picked up the lead. So what has happened to the 028 of Andrew Mraz? It looks like Mraz has taken a pit stop, and so has Andrew Moore. We missed that. And it looks like Mraz, Matthias, Pettit, Perry, Miller, Indiana Wise, they have all taken their pit stops on lap 109. And that means that Marshall Stanley picks up the lead here in the number 44 car, and that brings Pondo Co in second. And all of a sudden, Jordan Berry sees his day change with a third position here. And he had trouble keeping up with Moore and Perry and the likes of those guys, dropped back to 10th. And now he sees himself in third position. Ryan Nicoletta in the 59 car sees himself in 4th, and Randy Bledsoe is in 5th. Sean Dias in 6th. Andrew Moore is the first of the guys that pitted, so Andrew Moore has actually come out of the pits quicker than Andrew Mraz, who is now in 8th. Matthias is in 9th, and Pettit is in 10th. Mike Perry then in 11th, Matt Miller in 12th. Indiana Wise in 13th. He also pitted, and it looks like Jeff Ryan also pitted on a lap later, and then Ron Schutte did the same thing. We are on going into lap 114. It looks like the lights on the pace car have gone out, and they're lining them up side by side. We'll be going into lap 114 when we take the green flag. Stanley on the inside, Pondo Co on the outside in that number 9 car. Jordan Berry on the inside there in 3rd, and there we go. It's Stanley hitting the gas. A bit of a wiggle coming off the start there. Looks like Co is taking 2nd. Berry is in 3rd. Nicoletta coming to the high side of Berry. It looks like Moore has already brought himself back up to 5th position. That is awesome. And Matthias is in 6th. Bledsoe in 7th. Mraz is in... Oh, and it goes all wrong for the 87 there. That is Sean Dias. And he collects quite a few cars here. Let's see if we can... bring that back for you. They're coming off turn 3 and 4 onto the main straightaway, and the 87 is on the high side, and it looks like he doesn't stay high where he is. There's 2 cars inside of him, and collects all of these guys in the process. Let's bring it back once again. The 87, we're going to slow this down for you and see where he's at. He is in the top of the 2 lanes there, and it looks like he is coming down a little bit while the Pettit is washing up a little bit. Pettit has nowhere to go. He's caught in the middle. The 87 collects the 2 of Mike Perry. That's your championship leader. Jason Branch is a victim of that as well. Ooh, and that black car there, I'm not sure who that is. That looks like David Dolliver. Not sure if that was David Dolliver, that black car, but unfortunately the 87 catches quite a few of these guys here. Back under yellow. Jeff Ryan now in the pits in the number 3 car. Mike Perry in the pits. Randy Perdue is staying out there, but he is smoking. No, that's Indiana Wise that's smoking. Randy Perdue was the 29 car. That was the one that ran into that as well, I do believe. Maybe it was Indiana Wise. I don't know. He looks like he's in trouble, and he needs to get that car to pit lane. So let's see there. Mike Perry still in the pits. Jason Branch in the pits. David Bolivar is coming back out. That was definitely not the car that hit him. That's the yellow and black car we see coming out of the pits right now. Let's see. Tommy Ryan is back out. It looks like Sean is coming in now. Ron Shuddy is back out. Jeff Ryan still in the pits, Mike Perry still in the pits, and Jason Branch. And it could be that those cars are just simply too damaged to continue. We'll have to wait and see. As so far, we haven't lost anybody at all. They're still all running. Everybody that started is still running. And let's check on Indiana Wise here, that 31 car. I don't believe he's aware of the problems he's having, because he is not going into the pits. And it looks like we're getting ready to get going once again. So I hope that that smoke is not going to make him lose that engine. Stanley on the front there with Pondo Co, Jordan Berry, and Nicoletta behind him. Marshall Stanley on the gas quickly. Pondo Co on the high side. It looks like Jordan Berry is holding on to that inside line here. Then it's Andrew Moore in the orange car working his way up already. Oh, and it's Ryan Nicoletta on the high side there as well. Oh, and we have more trouble in the back. More trouble in the back. And it's actually the 81 car that's getting in trouble there. Let me see. That's Randy Bledsoe. Let's bring back for you what happened. Looks like there's a little bit of it looks like Pettit touches the rear of 81. Let's bring it back one more time and see if we can close it up a little bit. Yep, it's the 57 touching the 81 on that quarter panel, collecting Casey Duncan in the process. It looks like they can still get going, and it looks like Jeff Ryan, no, the other Ryan in the black and yellow car avoided that running into him there. And meanwhile, Indiana Wise is still smoking like a chimney. Pretty bent up on the back end. I'm not sure if he's aware of that, because he's still not making any attempt of going in. And it looks like Pettit is going for pit lane, as is Duncan. Perdue is still out there. Mike Perry and Jeff Ryan definitely looks like they and Jason Branch have called it a night. Too much damage, unfortunately. All right, let's get her off delay here, and it looks like Marshall Stanley is still hanging on to that lead in the 44 car, and it's Jordan Berry now in second position. He took that away from Pondo Co on that restart. Then it's Pondo Co and Andrew Moore. He's worked his way back up to fourth. Ryan Nicoletta is in fifth. Roger Matthias is in sixth. And Andrew Mraz is in seventh. And it looks like with all these yellows, it's a little bit hard to make any progress for Mraz. Matt Miller is in eighth. Ron Shuddy is in 9th, and Tommy Ryan is in 10th. And it looks like we're going to be doing a green-white checkered here. A dash for the cash, as we call it. So 2 laps of racing to bring it to the finish. On a track that brings back a lot of memories for older NASCAR fans among us. Back in the 70s and 80s, North Wilkesboro was a very famous track. And the late Dale Earnhardt won there once. There we go. Marshall Stanley is on the gas. We had a single foul restart here. Stanley is in first. It's Berry in second. It's Pondoco in third. Andrew Moore in fourth. And Matthias is fallen back in fifth a little bit. It looks like Miraz has picked up the sixth position. I see smoke. I'm not sure what that was, but it looks like we're still running. White flag is out for Marshall Stanley. It looks like he's going to pull a little bit of a distance on Jordan Berry. And it looks like we have Marshall Stanley coming across the line in first position here. It's Jordan Berry in second. It's Pondoco in third. Not quite making it as he would have wanted to, but he made it. Then it's Andrew Moore in fourth. It's Miraz in fifth, so he picked up 2 positions on that last restart. Roger Matthias is in sixth. Matt Miller is in seventh. It's Nicoletta in 8th. It's Tommy Ryan in 9th on his first race for the series. Ron Schutte is in the 10th position. And let's see our friend Marshall do some rubber burning here on North Wilkesboro. His victory lap here on the backstretch. He's going to bring it around once again. I'm sure we're going to see some donuts here. There you have him, the number 44 car. There we go. Won't be much left of those rear tires, and if he keeps this up, the engine's probably not going to last very long either. But he's pretty good at running donuts, that's for sure. All right, there we have it. Marshall Stanley, the winner of your race here in North Wilkesboro. And let me see if we can bring the results up for you. Gotta click the right buttons. There we have them. That's your final results for this race. And let's go see if we can find some guys to talk to. Marshall Stanley. Hey, Marshall, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on a good win here. You looked very, very solid when you took the lead over after the pit stop from what's his name, Miraz. You seemed to be pretty much in control.
Yeah, I think us and Mike kind of just had pace there. You could tell from the beginning that like we were kind of in our own zip code as far as pace. And I kind of had a feeling with how this track is, with track position being so key, it's really tough to pass here. So I figured the best case scenario would be stay out front and just try to hold on with used tires. And it was getting scary there at the end, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw in practice too, it looked like there was quite a bit of slip sliding going around. I could also tell some people were staying on that low side a lot. Some people were staying on that higher side a lot. Where did you feel you had the best grip?
For this, I felt the lower line was a little bit better, at least on the long run. And I really give a lot of respect to Andrew for like battling mid run when we did in that green flag run, because we were kind of both on different philosophies of how the line went, because he was kind of taking mid line, like lane 2, lane 3, and I was more in the bottom line just trying to hug it. And what's so cool about this track is it's multiple lane, so different philosophies can bring different speed. And yeah, at the end, I think it was just making sure you could just keep it off the wall and hold on at that point.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. Although I will say, on all these restarts in the final bit of the race, we had a couple of yellows, and every restart you seem to get away quickly, pretty good, putting at least a car length on the guys behind you. So and that I mean that makes it fairly easy to choose your lane as you please, right?
Yeah, it seemed like from what I saw with Andrew on our first restarts, the inside line, just with that jump, you get that kind of like dirt track distance where you just have a better angle going into turn one, and you have that so much space. On some of those last ones, though, I almost crossed it up a few times just spinning wheels in second. So it's a great advantage, but if you do screw it up, you end up taking out the whole field. So it's very nerve wracking, that's for sure.
I'm sure, yeah. When you were battling with Andrew Miraz there for the lead a little bit earlier in the race, I rode along with you with the roll bar cam for a little bit, and you could tell that pretty much every time you came off the turn, there was a slight correction of oversteer that you had to do to keep that nose going forward.
Yeah, it was also my first like oval league race on a new wheel, so it took a lot of the beginning part to get used to. And I think what was great and what kind of shocked me is towards the end of the run, the car started loosening, or the truck started loosening up. So I'm more of a favorite as a loose driver. I would like the car to kick out a little bit as it goes, and it seemed like it helped a lot with me getting back to Andrew, because Andrew in the beginning of the run would just take off on me, and it made for good racing. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know I did from where I was.
Well, I sure did from where I was too, man. Absolutely. Congratulations once again, Marshall. I'm not really sure if I memorized the standings enough to know where you're at, but are you thinking you're going to be in the playoffs?
Just here for a few of them. I ended up missing a couple due to work stuff, and just gonna try to get to as many as I can without missing any, and hopefully help my teammates. I know Adam, one of my teammates from Rev Racing, is going to be close on standing, so it'll be mostly about helping him stay in that area and getting him in through the playoff and stuff. Whatever I can do to help, I'll be there.
Cool, cool, cool. That's good teamwork. That's always, I'm sure that becomes a factor of racing everywhere. Marshall, once again, congratulations. Any love yous and thank yous you want to throw out there?
Thanks to my team, Sean and Adam from Rev Racing, sponsors from my roadside as well that help support me on the oval side, Avion Risk Management, Freeam USA, who supply my gloves, Two Wild Karting, which is the team I race for in the real world, and Stantera Simsport, who is the roadside of my team. So yeah, all them, and then you guys for broadcasting, and everybody at Blown Piston that puts on these events. I'm having a fun time on a Friday night.
Thanks very much, Marshall. Once again, congratulations, man. Good job.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, let's move on to our second place finisher there, Jordan Berry. Can you hear me?
I got a copy.
Jordan, it looks like we've been talking a lot this week. You have a very strong week in various leagues, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in second place here. It looked like in the beginning you had a fairly strong car running at middle line, but then once your tires seemed to go off a little bit, you got passed by a couple of guys, and you wound up in 10th position, and then all of a sudden you're back in third on some in the final stages of the race. Talk me through that, man.
Yeah, Pondo and I were just talking about that, and I I think I just came out of the gate too fast, and I was driving it too hard and burning up the right sides. So once I burnt up the right sides, all I could do is run it higher and come down on those guys, and ultimately I was just slowing them up until they got around me. And once they got around me, it was like freight trained. But me and the three got into each other a few times, and I thought my race was over when I got turned there. But all of a sudden that caution came out, and everyone pit, which was a big surprise on a short track. So I don't know if you could see, but I was basically at the tire when I chose to stay out.
Yeah, it surprised me too, because I mean, it's kind of always kind of surprising when half of the guys do it and the others seem to be fine with what they have and they stay out there, and that obviously throws everything around quite a bit. And it didn't even seem like the guys on newer tires after that pit stop were doing all that much better than the ones that were out there.
Well, I think there was a couple strategies. There was us that stayed out, and I think there was probably 6 or 7 of us. And on a short track like this, if you stay out, and there's enough guys behind you, there's going to be a caution or two, which burns off 2 or 3 laps, or 5 or 6 laps. But I actually think the 77 and maybe one other guy had 2 tires, so they wouldn't have been quite as fast as the 4, and that just kind of fell in our hands at the front because, essentially they had to work around the 5 or 6 guys on older tires or 2 tires, and there's just not enough time.
Yeah, I see. I see. So it worked to your advantage once again. Good job, Jordan. Another solid finish this week in another series, nonetheless. But still, it looks like it's a great week for you.
Yeah, I'm really liking. I like short tracks. You have to, you got to hit the brake and gas. It's not all gas the whole time. So there's saving tires. There's a little bit of rubbing. It's fun racing. So I enjoy the short tracks.
Absolutely. Also do we, man. It's a good show to watch. Any thank yous and love yous you want to throw out there, Jordan?
Yeah, just thanks. Grandparents always enjoy watching it, so thank you for broadcasting for them, and my parents and brother, I'm sure, watching. FXR Racing, Rockstar Energy, Northland Leisure Products helps us out a lot, and Realty Executives, our primary sponsor, and Momentum Sim Racing, our team, as those guys help me out a lot with different things, even these fixed setups, working with steering ratios and steering boxes, stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks very much, Jordan. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for the broadcast again. Great job.
Thank you. All right, let's bring our third place driver in here as well. That's Pano Ko. You are kind of in the same boat with Jordan Berry there. It looked like you were in the mid pack for quite some time, trying to work your way up, and you got lucky with the lead group taking some pit stops.
Yeah, I'm not going to take any credit for being like the skilled most driver at North Wilkesboro. This is the first time I've ever raced this track. Got a few practice laps in, got in, and I guess just was patient, seeing what happened, and knew I had enough fuel, and knew I didn't have a bunch of laps on the tires, and being at the right place at the right time. I mean, just like Jordan and the guy that won the race. I mean, we were kind of confused why they pitted, unless they just didn't pit earlier in the race and they were just stretching it, knowing that where you're at on the track matters. And I don't know, it baffled me. I was just like, holy shit, I'm in second. Sorry for the language, but that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah, I understand, man. That's okay. I tell you, I kind of looked at it the same way. I mean, I was trying to report on the crashes that had happened, and all of a sudden I see all these leaders going in the pit, and I'm thinking, what are they doing? It's not that far to go anymore, and so yeah, I'm not sure on what strategy they were as far as previous pit stops, but it seemed to me like they were giving up a lot of track position trying to get new tires, and I guess you guys took advantage of that, and rightfully so. So you were on the second spot at that final restart, if I remember correctly, and that meant you were on the outside. Was that kind of what gave it away to Jordan, or?
No, it was the timing of the caution, because I mean, anybody that knows iRacing, I'm sure you do, and anybody listening to us and watching this, when you enter the corner, if anybody gets to your left side, as close as me and Jordan were, his his nose is automatically closer to the start finish line, or their timing line. So off the corner, I'd have probably had a half a truck on them, but the caution come out when it did in the middle of the exit of 4. So yeah, I was just glad to hold off, the guy with 2 outside tires behind me in 4th place to finish in 3rd and be talking to you right now. But great job to Jordan, great job to the gentleman that won the race, and apparently has some lineage to this track, and that's awesome. I mean, we all love this track. Even, I mean, I watched it as a kid. Why in the heck do we not have tracks like this on the main circuit?
That's exactly why there were so many voices to try and bring it back when they decided to go to the '87 classical NASCARs, and they needed a track from that era too, and this is the one, and it makes for great racing for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't great here. I was good. I knew I could finish somewhere between 10 and 15th, I think, if I just controlled the tires or what have you. But I mean, great job to the guys that led most of the race. I mean, they just pitted, and stuff happens. But Mark, if you don't mind, I just want to say something. I'm going to lose a dear friend of mine to a stroke. I'm 40, he's 39. We grew up together. And Justin Clark, we love you. And Godspeed, my brother. And we'll see you on the other side.
Absolutely, man. I'm sorry to hear that. That's very tough, especially at an age like that, man. I feel for you.
I appreciate it, Mark, man, and congratulations again to the winner. And actually, a really good race. I had a blast, and yeah, these guys in this league, they do it right, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Pondo. Is there anybody else you want to mention or thank or throw some love yous out there other than your friend?
Well, my wife, obviously, my kid, you know, parents, everybody, you for doing what you do, and 2020, we all need some love, right?
That's right, man. We sure do. Thank you very much, Pondo. Once again, congratulations on a good, strong finish. I've been doing this series for quite a few races now. I've always seen you trying to be a patient kind of guy, and you're running your laps, and you're always trying to be up there, and it doesn't always work out the best way. But I think your work leads to finally getting a good score here in third position. That's awesome.
Yes, sir. More to come.
I hope so. Thank you, Pondo.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that'll do it for this evening here. Once again, Short Shift Broadcasting wants to apologize for being a little bit late into this race with that unfortunate technical difficulties. The computers can be great things when they work right, but they can make you pull your hair out when they don't. We still hope you enjoyed the part of the race that we did show. We came in at about lap 17. We saw Andrew Mraz run very strong, and he decided to pit in the final part of the race. That gave Marshall Stanley, Jordan Berry, and Pondo Co. the upper hand here at the end of the race with a green-white checkered. It was Marshall Stanley bringing it home in first, Jordan Berry in second, and Pondo Co. your final podium finisher. For the next race next week, same time, different place, we're going to be going to Pocono. The one oval with only 3 turns makes for pretty cool and exciting racing as well. Especially, we believe in the trucks. That's going to be a very cool track to run on. So we definitely hope to see you there. And before I completely go away, I would like to share with you something that I picked up from iRacing that I wanted to share with you before I was going to get started. And that is a little look back at the 87 era of NASCAR, the late 80s, when they were racing here at the North Wilkesboro track. So with that short video, I'm going to thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you next week at Pocono, and enjoy a little look back at the North Wilkesboro track in real life.
We are back at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. And just as the field comes all around turn number 4, the sunshine peeks through, helping warm things here. Bill Elliott leads him down. Benny Parsons on the outside. The green flag flies, and the first Union 400 Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead, and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison. Here we go. It's just about to go away. They bump coming out of turn 4. Earnhardt gets the lead. We had just heard from our spotters that Neil Ryan. Dale Earnhardt is on his last lap. This will be his 24th career win. Dale Earnhardt wins.